So hopefully on your screen, you see Ignite, the beginning screen. And what I'd like to ask, if you would unmute yourself and please, who would like to share what they're grateful for so far during this learning journey? So obviously this is day 3 of the Ignite. Has anybody learned something that, any big aha that's part of the process that they would like to share?
So this is Debbie. Last night I learned how to share the app.
Nice.
And so I did that on my business Facebook page this morning.
How many folks actually took that and added it to their phone? You have an idea yet?
I don't know yet. I mean, I haven't. When they log in, I get like an alert to tell me that I have a new lead. So, but most people that they access my page in the evening, so I expect to start seeing traffic later.
Very nice. You can also add that to the end of your email message as well to grab a hold of the most up-to-date information of what's available out there on the real estate world. Please click my link in order to find that out. So just another way to talk to people that way. All right. So today we're going to focus on you and the value you bring to your customers, your community, and your business. So this is what we call your value proposition, and you'll have the opportunity to define and declare what your value proposition is. So that's going to be a real nice feature to today's session. Okay. So this is what successful agents do every day. And basically on your calendar, and I always recommend folks follow a Google Calendar or follow something in that regard. What time of day does folks have the most amount of energy to do the things that they may or may not love doing?
Morning.
That's most likely true. So yeah, that's about 90% of the world is that way. I wouldn't say everybody is, but it's pretty consistent. Morning is where you have the most energy and can do things. So what I did for the bulk of my career, and I've been in the business now 17 years. I got my license in 2005. My first full year in the business was 2006. I took 32 listings that year. I sold 31 homes, and I generated $9 million in business as a single agent my first year in real estate. Would anybody on this call like to be able to do that?
Heck yeah.
Okay. Well, it's doable. I'd had a career in information technology. I used to run consulting firms. I made a lot of money for a lot of people. And the last company I was with, I had a buyout that allowed me to sell my portion of the business. And the deal I had worked out with the owner of the company, when I joined him, he had been in business about 10 years, and his highest year of revenue was like $1.3 million during those 10 years, because he only had one customer. He never really felt comfortable going out of his comfort zone to do something different. So when I joined him, I said, look, you own 100% of the company today. What I would like is 25% of the future value of the company when we decide to part ways. So within a period of 5 years, we grew from 1.3 million a year in business, and we were doing 1.4 million a month when I left, when we sold out the company. So he owned a $1.3 million company. He owned 17% of a $16 million company, and I own 25% of that same company. And that's how I got my career started in real estate. Because I decided I no longer wanted to work for somebody else. I wanted to work for myself. Now, who on this call today loves the idea of working for themselves? Well, hopefully that's most of you, because in this business, our job at Keller Williams is to help your business. And you have to be that person who participates in order to allow us to help you. By being on calls like tonight, the training, that's outstanding. So lead generation for buyers and sellers. So typically what I would do between the hours of 9 and 11, sometimes as late as 12, I would do what's called lead generation. Now, lead generation for me was calling people out of my database where it was time to call them. However, when I first got started, I didn't have a database. So I just had to call people out of my phone. So when I did that, some of the calls would go like this. And I'll use Idris as my example, if that's okay with you, sir. So Idris, this is George McDowell. I was checking my database and I saw that I had your name and number in my database as a contact. And I was just wondering, if you were to buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate in the city of Annapolis, would you give me a call to help you out? Do you have an agent you work with now?
No,
You
I
have an
don't.
agent? No or yes?
Yes.
So I can't hear you right now. I'm going to assume you said, yes, you have an agent right now. So if you have an agent, oh, that's great. By the way, if you ever need a second opinion with absolutely no obligation whatsoever, please keep my name and number in your database. I'll text that to you after the call. By the way, do you have any real estate questions that I can answer for you right now? And now you've called somebody that you've saved their name and number in your phone, and now you're asking a real estate question to see if indeed they may or may not have an opportunity for you to discover. And if indeed they didn't have an agent they dealt with, I would come back and say, you don't? Well, that's just absolutely, I'm glad I called. I'll text you my contact information so that you can save my name and number as a contact for real estate. By the way, some of my free services include free market analysis, monthly emails on what's happening in the real estate market, monthly evaluations of what your home is worth in today's market, and any other thing that you might need in regard to real estate, including tax assessment help with real estate. So, by the way, do you have any questions I can answer for you right now in regards to real estate? So once again, we get right back to that question again. Now, would anybody like to practice a script like that? Now, Charles, you were on a call this morning where we practiced that. How did that go this morning?
Being my first time, a little choppy, but I hope to do better next time.
Okay. And I believe Akima, you were on that call as well. You've been doing it now for about a month. How has script practice helped you so far?
I guess just learning the script right now. Knowing a little bit more what to say.
Yeah, and that's what a script practice does for real estate agents. And if you can team up with somebody who's really good at doing scripts, I am And many of you people may or may not know, Keller Williams has a class called BOLD, and BOLD stands for a business objective, a life by design. And in BOLD, they do script practice for 8 weeks in a row every time they run BOLD. And I started taking my first BOLD class about 11 years ago, my first year with Keller Williams. And now for about 10 years in a row out of my Annapolis office, I run a script practice from 8:30 to about 8:45 to 8:50. And we actually practice with a $25 million agent out of Ocean City, myself, a $30 million team that generates sales in the Annapolis area and Anne Arundel County and local counties. And we practice on Mondays, we practice expired scripts. On Tuesday, we practice for sale by owner scripts. On Wednesday, we practice objection handling. On Thursday, we practice database scripts. So that's part of a lot of the stuff that we do as part of the process. Now, you would ask, why would somebody like myself continue to practice this late as part of the process? Mary Cruz, do you have a question? Got your hand up.
No, I don't.
Okay. So the reason I practice is because you never know when that next real estate conversation is going to occur and somebody's going to ask you a question about real estate. Now, what do you think some of the top questions you get about real estate?
Questions regarding how the market is.
They're going to ask you how the market is, how home prices have gone up. They're going to ask you what the interest rate is. Now, you're a real estate agent and you're not a loan officer. Why should you know anything about interest rates?
You want to sound educated. And gain the
That's
trust of
correct,
your
because they're
clients.
going to utilize your service if you have the information they're looking for. And you never know when that question's going to happen. So what I recommend to everybody on this call is to hook up with a mortgage officer and make sure you get weekend updates about what the rates are in real estate. And you can say, well, as effective as this past Monday, interest rates were in the mid fives, and right now they're a little steady. They were the same the week before. Or you can say, hey, now our interest rates are in the sixes, and now they're on a constant rise. And buyers and sellers want to know that for two reasons. If a seller wants to sell, they're going to have to buy something else. And if it's just a buyer, they want to make sure that they can afford their next house. Now, I've been in business for, I guess, since 2005. Interest rates were right around 6 or 7% when I got in. So today's interest rates are still fairly low for me, so I don't really worry about it. And here's what I know. Once the government gets inflation under control, then interest rates will go down and people can refinance their house and they'll have more money available. So that's going to be the good news going forward. One of the things you're going to have to learn how to do is make seller listing presentations so you can get listings. Now, how do you think a rookie like me in 2006 took 32 listings his first year in the business? I think it was just my gray hair and my good looks.
Your charisma.
Well, what I did as a rookie agent, I had a great mentor who helped coach me on how to do a listing presentation. And I studied backwards and forwards how to do listing presentations in practice so that when I got to the customer, I had practiced it enough times that when I got to the client, it was difficult for me to make a mistake. Or if I did make a mistake, it was able to catch it so that I could correct what I had said. So that's where practice comes into play. Real estate is a profession. And if you're going to be a professional real estate agent, you need to practice. And quite possibly your coaches in your office have done many listings as well. And in fact, quite often we do some listing presentations just as a practice session in the office. So try to make sure that you learn. If you want to be a top listing agent, know that you're going to have to be part of that mix. Okay. Now, sometimes people like being a buyer salesperson versus a listing presentation. So I'm not a guy who loves working with buyers, so I typically would hand those buyers off to some of the folks on my team. But a buyer presentation is a one-on-one meeting where the buyer tells you where they want to possibly live, and your job is to find a house that they possibly are going to love. And then in order for you to find out what's available out in the market, you should go out and preview some real estate. So just know that's part of the process. I used to, on a weekly basis, probably go visit anywhere from 8 to 10 homes a week in my local area. So that way, when somebody asks me a question about some of the homes, it's possible that I may or may not have seen those houses during the course of that month. Now, how many folks on this call do open houses?
I'd like to.
That's a good answer. I like that. If you would like to do open houses, make sure you talk to the office trainers and let them know that you'd like to be put on the list, because some of the top agents like myself or other agents in our office don't love doing open houses. We'd rather take those days off. And that was always my course. I did not want to work on Sundays. And the only way I could not work on Sundays if I could find somebody to take my place on that listing or on that open house. And what we're finding in today's market is that we're getting a lot of face-to-face contacts with a lot of potential prospects. And about over half of them are not represented by an agent, which gives you an opportunity to find some buyers out there. So make it a thing you want to do very quickly. Maybe the first open house, you do it with somebody else there at the open house, and you sit and watch what they do. And just say, hey, I'd like to sit and watch for your open house. And that's the best way to do it. Okay. Now, running your business, obviously that's pretty key. You have to be able to market seller listings. These are things you're going to learn as you go. But literally, the list on the left, by growing your business right now, that's where you're at. You're in the process of growing your business. We'll help you with the running the business. Typically, in office, we'll have a concierge service who can help you with transaction management, with vendor management, all the compliance and risk management to help you in that process. All right. So what we're going to talk about today is, defining your value. Your three aspects of service, know and state your value. So if somebody were to ask you, what do you bring to the table as a real estate agent, you got to be able to come up with an answer as to what it is you're planning on doing. So what we're going to try to do today is help you find your value proposition, to help you, explore the three essential aspects of why that's so important. Okay. And then one of the things you're going to have to be able to do is, once you say, this is what my value proposition is, you have to be able to deliver that value. So you want to make sure that you're not overstating what your value proposition is, because it may be impossible to do, or maybe it is possible. I had the opportunity, and I think Charles had the opportunity this past week. We listened to a guy named Bob Lucido. And Bob Lucido got his license to practice real estate in 2008, literally 3 years after I did. Now, Bob runs the Bob Lucido team out of Ellicott City. He has offices in 49 cities across the United States and 2 in Canada. Last month, he sold $102 million in homes. And he is going to be the first agent in Keller Williams to sell over $1 billion in homes in a year. Pretty impressive. And he's a man who has failed forward many, many times. So know that failing is okay, but the idea of failing is that you learn what you did and that you'll attempt to not make those same mistakes going forward a second time. All right. So in order to stay on quote here, we have to, deliver your value proposition. So what I'd like folks to do, you've got about 3 to 5 minutes to work on this. And basically it's a simple and precise description of the benefits a customer will get from working with you. You should clearly be able to convey the things you earn, the things you do to earn the fee you're going to charge. And your value proposition is a covenant between you and the customer. Okay. Now, because one of the things I tell my customers, and I do this this is also another script, is, I'll say, look, customer, I promise to give you my best effort. And I would like to get your promise for one thing. Would that be okay? And then I'll say, I plan to deliver the best customer service to you possible. And if by the end of this time we get to the contract, we get to selling your home or buying your home, if you have not given me a referral for some additional business, I'm going to consider that I must have done something wrong. And my job is to prove my service to you to such a great extent that you're going to value every aspect of what I've been able to do to help you with the purchase of your home or the sale of your home. Is that a promise you're willing to keep with me? That because now what you're going to know, because now that you've in the process of buying or selling your house, your conversations are going to be talking about real estate to a lot of your closest family, your sphere of influence, and other people that you may or may not work with. And when they ask you, hey, what agent did you use? I want to make sure that you have some of my business cards and that you'll ask them, you mind if George gives you a call to help you out with your questions? That would be a great referral for me. And I know that my job is to give you the best customer service, and I want to make sure you're okay with that. Does everybody sound like that's something that they could afford to say to somebody? We call that the promise. That's what they call the promise script. So clearly convey what you're going to do to earn the fee. Now, if you're working as a buyer agent, your job is to obviously write the offer, to give details as to what our competition is going to be in that offer, because many deals today are still getting multiple offers on homes priced between $150,000 and $500,000. In fact, just a month ago, we had a buyer make an offer on a $750,000 house, and that house got 17 offers. It was in Severna Park. That was one of the reasons. And the house ended up selling for $120,000 over list price. Now, luckily for my buyer, they didn't get that deal. And the reason I say lucky, because then they would have bought a house that could have never resold for that in about 2 or 3 years, because that house would have been over $200,000 over value by that point. So that's the other thing you have to do, is give them enough information to say, is it a good buy or not a good buy? So the other thing is, and your covenant with them is to make the value proposition a covenant between you and your client. And that's where I put that promise script in there to say, hey, if I don't deliver quality service, I'll know that because you hadn't given me a referral during the course of our time we're working together. And just, get that promise for that purpose. So the 3 aspects of service. So when Gary Keller was researching the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, he noticed that every top producing agent he spoke with had a deep and almost inherent sense of service. He said, you cannot grow a real estate business if you don't prioritize your clients' experience above all else. A stellar experience is how you will earn your commission and get referrals. So we've identified 3 aspects of service: is knowing the underlying purpose of your real estate, a compelling value proposition, and fiduciaries, just meaning that you have all the right skills to actually write the contract and make that work. And these aspects will guarantee that your client will have the best possible real estate experience. Does that make sense for everybody? So
Yes.
3 aspects of service. So what is the underlying purpose of real estate? And it's different for both buyers and sellers. For buyers, it's finding them the right home at the right price in the right time with the least amount of problems. For sellers, it's about netting them the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time with the least amount of problems. And that should be part of your value proposition as to how you talk to buyers or sellers. So what do you think will happen if you start working with a buyer and you don't tell them about what's happening in the market out there?
You can lose them as a client.
You can lose them as a client because you haven't set the expectations of letting them know what the market is like. You can say, hey, we have a shortage of inventory right now. And that shortage of inventory, if we look back 3 years ago, just as an FYI for everybody, we had about a 6-month supply of inventory on hand, meaning we didn't have enough buyers for all the listings that were out there. And now just 3 years later, which it shouldn't be that totally different, we are now down to less than a 1-month supply of inventory. And the average house, especially in the city of Annapolis, is right now only on the market for 7 days. And 3 years ago, the average house was on the market for 47 days. So what I would like you to do is start becoming a person who looks at the numbers of real estate. And it's an easy thing you can do on your computer through Bright MLS. So you can actually, like, say you're going to look at Annapolis for homes priced between $300,000 and $500,000. And you can say, well, if you're looking for homes priced around $400,000, this is what's happening in the market today. Today, there's only 7 homes active for sale. They've only been on the market for about 4 days each. That's the average days on market. Of the homes that have gone under contract this last 30 days, 7 of them went under contract, and the average days on market was just 3 days. So these are some of the fiduciary things that you're going to need to deliver for that purpose. So what I'm telling you to do is become very knowledgeable about your numbers. Write them down, take them with you, put them on a card. Hey, so do you mind if I pull out my information about what's happening in the market? I do this on a weekly basis so that I have the most up-to-date information to give all of my clients. Now, do you think if you tell your client that type of value proposition that you're following the market on a weekly basis, that's going to help you have success?
Yeah.
Yes.
You bet. So these are some of the things, and basically you can actually set yourself up on a search through Bright MLS and send yourself an email that delivers to you every Sunday night or every Monday morning. So it'll automatically come to you. You'll be looking for the homes that are under contract and that are active for sale. And you'll want to make sure that you're looking on the average days on market of those homes. So you send yourself that information on a weekly basis. You write it down, you put it in your pocket, and then you've automatically set yourself up to have that information every week. And you did it one time, and every week it sends you an email. Now you have the new information. These are some of the things I did in order to make sure I knew my numbers in all the different areas. Okay. So what is the underlying purpose of real estate? Anybody have an answer for that? I think we already covered that one anyway. So let's move on to the next one. So value proposition. Let's define what that is. Your value proposition is the skills you use your service offerings into a succinct set of benefits for your client. It states that this is what you'll do for a client to earn your commission and help you explain the complexity of what you do. It also helps hold you accountable to high standards. So as we reflect on that definition, what do you see the value of your value proposition? Why is it important for you to be included in our three aspects of service? Anybody would like to share what they have, if they've identified any value proposition for their service?
So I would say that would be giving them the real estate knowledge that, like with the numbers and things that you were just mentioning, so to educate them on the market so they can make an informed decision.
I believe that's a good, very good answer.
I actually have a question about the last thing that we were talking about when you said that you did a search in the Bright MLS for different areas. How many areas would you suggest, and which areas did you pick from when you did this?
Well, I live in Pasadena, Maryland. I own a house on the water. So what I wanted to focus on for myself is that when people ask me about houses on the water, I wanted to make sure that I knew how many homes on the water were available, or maybe it was a neighborhood where I lived in. I wanted to know all the information, because as I walk around and I've got my real estate badge on my shirt, or I got my real estate magnet on the side of my car, when people came up to me, they're going to ask me about the local market. And I'm going to want to have information about that for the local area where I live on a consistent basis.
Makes sense. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome, because that's the key part. And also, you're going to be going to grocery stores, or you're going to be going to different local markets. And if you have your badge on, which is highly recommended, during the course of the year, I would get anywhere between 2 and 4 pieces of business, just because people knew that I was a real estate agent and I was not what's called a secret agent. So a secret agent is somebody who is afraid to tell anybody they're in real estate. I was one of those guys that just blurted it out, because if I got enough opportunities for business, I could make enough money to be happy, which worked out well. So what is a functionary, and how is it different than what is a fiduciary, and how is it different than a functionary? So as you work with a client, you are your client's fiduciary. A functioning one is somebody who completes tasks for the client, whereas a fiduciary completes tasks and goes beyond by placing their client's interests ahead of all others, even their own. So being a fiduciary is a big deal. In fact, it's an honor. And it's more important than ever in today's market to wear that badge of honor pretty proudly. So know that that's a big aspect of success there. Hopefully that made good sense to everybody. So know and state your value. So in your participant guide on pages 4 to 6, I want you to look at page 5 in your participant guide, and there's a space to write down about yourself, your strengths, and your perspectives. So take a few minutes and write down some of those responses. And this will be the beginning of crafting your own unique value proposition. And just to give you an example, like when I got in real estate, I knew that I wanted to sell houses around the water because I was a boater. And I had boated a lot of the tributaries along the Chesapeake Bay, including the Magothy River, the Severn River, the Botkin Creek, Stony Creek, Rock Creek, and also Curtis Bay. In fact, I know that I can get to Rock Hall by boat in 35 minutes, and it takes me an hour and a half by car. As I've sold a couple of houses in Rock Creek, and I typically will only sell them during the summer because I ain't driving that 90 minutes, but I'll drive my boat over there for 30 minutes to make that work. So George gets to have fun while he sells real estate. That's the way I looked at that. So you guys got a couple minutes. Why don't you go ahead and get started on that? I'll fill up my water and I'll come back and we'll get started again. So on pages 4 to 6, work on your value proposition real quick. So think about things that you feel good about or you feel comfortable with. Maybe you want to work with first-time home buyers. Maybe you want to work with military. Maybe you want to work with senior citizens, all the different things that could be a possibility. I mean, in New York, we have people that are they're condo kings or condo queens, you know, and Billy, you could really pick one building that has over 1,000 condos in a unit, and you could be that person who sells 100 of them on a yearly basis. You could be a luxury expert. All right, so is everybody done? Probably not, but this is something you're going to want to work on. If you have some really good coaches in your office or you have other folks that you want to run this by, talk to a spouse, talk to a friend and say, hey, these are the things I'm thinking about deliver as a value proposition for me and my real estate business. And you're going to be amazed that when you're able to put something together that actually makes you happy about it, that you're doing that, it's going to make your incentive to do well that much better. So note that's it. And what that did for me when I became, there was already a Mr. Waterfront that was out there selling waterfront homes, so I couldn't take that title. But I lived on the Magothy River at that time, so I became Mr. Magothy. And literally within a period of a year, I labeled myself a waterfront expert on the Magothy River. Now, I had people in my office that said, well, how can you call yourself a waterfront expert or a Magothy River expert? I said, well, I've boated that river for 30 years. I know how deep it is pretty much in every aspect of that water. I don't know how to sell houses in that area yet, but I sure as heck know the water. So once I became knowledgeable about an area, that's where you become strong. I mean, you may be a horse farm expert. You may be a golf course expert of homes around the golf courses. So those type of things. All right. So what we're going to talk about here is this is a 2018 profile of home buyers and sellers from the National Association of Realtors. So basically what you're seeing here, and I believe the next slide has actual percentages in there. Oh, okay, it's really not. So in here, number one is this area on the far right, which is over 50%. They want an agent to help them find the right home to purchase. The light blue area is help that buyer negotiate the terms of sale. And that's just writing the contract where both sides agree. The third part, in the little gray area, is actually help with price negotiations. So now how do you become an expert in price negotiations? This is where you need to practice, because maybe you don't have experience with helping price negotiations. And this is where you want to make sure you talk with other people in regards to, how do I become an expert at price negotiations? And then you'll find that you can use that skill for pretty much everything you do in life to help you negotiate better prices on everything. All right. And this is what buyers value in a real estate agent. They're going to check you out. So they want to make sure that you have a reputation of an agent. And if indeed it's not an agent, and maybe you're a rookie agent, you're going to have to make your value proposition, your company, as part of your value proposition. Saying, I work with Keller Williams, the leading company in real estate by agent, by revenue, by transactions, and by agent headcount. We're the largest by over 50% of any other company in the world. And we have offices pretty much in every area in the United States and in 55 other countries. And our job is to help you get the best deal with the least amount of trouble when you buy that house. Is that what you want as a buyer agent to help you out? And one of the things that they see as a really big plus is to make sure that the agent is honest and trustworthy. Here's something that you're going to want to avoid. If you don't have an answer, do not guess. You say, I don't have an answer for you on that question right now, but within 24 hours, I'm going to get you that answer. Is that okay? They're going to appreciate honesty and trustworthy so much more if you tell them that I don't have that answer. But I work with, like in our Annapolis office, I'm the actual broker of record. Well, I guess I'm the team leader for the Annapolis office. I've sold over 300 homes and over, what was it? I've generated close to $7.5 million in GCI over my 15 years I've been in real estate, which is over $400 million in home sales. So just know that that's a part of the process, that if you work with people who've done a lot of business, most likely they're going to have some answers for you that you may not have yourself yet. I like the third one here. An agent is a friend or a family member. One of my family members, my cousins, the mom and their kids have bought a total of 12 houses for me over my last 15 years I've been in business. And they all recommend me because every time I give them my best effort possible to help them with the sale. So that's where you want to really do well, is with family and friends to make that work. You see, obviously, agents' knowledge of a neighborhood. This is where you get local stuff by telling people what you're doing in the market, okay? What sellers want? Help seller market the home to potential buyers. That's the number one thing they want. They also want you to help them price the home competitively. So that's a big item. And that's something you want to make sure you ask your seller. You say, hey, do you want to price your home at a price that's 10% above what's happening in the market so that we can sell your neighbor's house down the street? Or do you want to get your house sold? Because if we price your house at $25,000 above where they're at, that's going to make their house sell that much quicker. Do you want that, or do you want your house sold? And then once you actually sell the home within a specific time frame, help them find a buyer, help them find a home for their next home, and then helping with negotiation and dealing with buyers. So that's pretty key. Reputation of the agent. The biggest thing they want here, agent is honest and trustworthy. So that's the light green, the agent honest and trustworthy. Friend or family member, that's still very true in terms of how things happen. You know, agent experience. And my first year in the business, I had a mentor and a coach. So I say, you know, between me and the gentleman I work with, and I would give his name, Gene Rengernook. We've got 20 years in the business. And between the two of us, we've sold over $100 million in homes. And if I don't have an answer for you, I'm going to get you an answer. I think maybe 2 or 3 people ask me, well, how much experience do you have? And I would tell them, I say, look, I'm relatively new in the business. Here's the reason you're going to enjoy working with me. I'm hungry and I want to get your house sold, and I'm going to utilize the experience of my team to help you get your house sold. And you want several people helping you get your house sold, not just one agent, right? And that's what Keller Williams can do for you to get your house sold. We're the #1 company in the world. And I'm fortunate enough to work with some of the best talent that I've ever seen to help me grow my career. And you want a hungry agent to help you get your house sold, right? Anybody like that type of feedback? Many rookies sell a lot of homes the first year. I would like to see at least 5 or 6 on this call be the same thing. All right. So you got to know who your competitors are. And this is going to be different in each little aspect of the areas, whether you're on the Eastern Shore. If you're in Easton, maybe Benson and Mangold is the #1 seller. Long and Foster is #2. Keller Williams is #4 in the area. Coldwell Banker's 3. In Annapolis, we're not the largest, but we're pretty good. So we're as competitive as anybody else. So you have to know who your competitors are locally. You don't want to tell your customer who the competitors are, but you want to let them know that, hey, in the Maryland, DC region, Keller Williams is the #1 firm by agent headcount and by agent transactions throughout the Maryland, DC, Delaware area. And if they know that, they're going to know that they're working with a top firm. And now you're utilizing the experience of Keller Williams to help you be stronger as a result. Now, why is our technology going to be a bonus for you as you help folks with homes?
Because of all the specific things Keller Williams offers.
Yep. And Lily, I mean, Inman Awards, which is probably the best award company for folks who are given awards, has labeled Keller Williams the #1 technology firm in real estate now 3 years in a row. And that's a big thing. Keller Williams, we are a technology company that helps our sellers and buyers to the greatest degree through that technology aspect. Right? So we can actually help. And the difference of our app and like a Zillow app, if people are driving around using the Zillow app, Zillow will say these are all the homes that are active for sale, but they also list all the homes that are under contract, and they list all the homes that have sold in the last 60 days. And the reason they do that is because they sell leads to people for money. And the more leads they have by people clicking on one of the listings and giving a phone number, an email, and a name, that's a lead they can sell to their customer base because now they've identified more folks. You can tell your clients that your Keller Williams app only lets you know what's available for sale at the present moment. It is real live data as of that moment in time. So that way they're not wasting time on homes that are no longer available. Now, will people still call you about another house that's under contract? Every day of the week. And then as soon as you confirm and say, yep, the house is under contract, it went under contract 2 weeks ago. Aren't you using my app I sent you? Yeah, but I couldn't find it on your app. Well, the reason you couldn't find it is because it was under contract. So let them know that that's how the app works. All right. So creating your value proposition. So your value proposition. So now you're going to refer to pages 12 and 13. on in your guidebook. And this is going to be a unique and persuasive statement that's going to express the true value of working with you. It says what you're going to do to earn your commission and how you're going to be held accountable to high standards. And that's something you're going to want to make sure that you have done as part of the process. So make a few notes on that right this moment. And then in about a minute, I'm going to ask somebody to role play with me as to what my value proposition is to why they should work with me. Would that be fun? If not, it's still going to happen. So either way, we're good. Okay.
George, I came on late. Where is the participant book that you're talking about?
If you're registered with Ignite, you should have a book for. I'm assuming it should have been in an email to you.
It's in the email that got sent out with the link. It's the participant tools, and then there's the toolbox.
Oh, the toolbox. Okay, thank you.
It's in the participant
Thank you, Kima.
files.
Yeah, it was sent by Melissa. That's the one I got. So I got several emails.
Great. All right, so I need somebody to be a seller, and I'm going to give you my value proposition for working with me and the McDowell team. Who would like to be my volunteer?
I can be a volunteer.
All right, so who am I talking with?
This is Jay.
Hey, Jay, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So basically what's happening, I got an appointment. I came to your house, and now I'm giving you my value proposition as to why they should work with me, George McDowell, and the McDowell team. So Jay, I understand you'd like to understand why you should possibly work with the McDowell team. Is that what I understand?
That's correct.
Okay. Well, Jay, let me give you a little background to my connection. I've been with Keller Williams for a couple of years. In fact, it's 10 now. The McDowell team has been one of the top teams with the Annapolis office for most of those 10 years. We have sold over 400 homes and over $500,000, over 500,000 properties during the course of, 4,000 properties during the course of that time. And with that, we promise two things. One is to help you sell your house for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time and with the least amount of trouble. Is that something you're okay with?
Yeah, that sounds great. I do got a question. When you say team, so am I going to be working with a group of people, or will you be my main point of contact?
Well, the good news for you is that I'm going to be your main point of contact when there's a conversation that we have to talk about the sale of your house. There may be some other people doing some paperwork in the background, but me and you are going to talk on a weekly, if not twice weekly. Now, how many times a week would you like to get a call? Is one good? Would a text message be good? What's the best way of conversing with you to get your house sold?
We can start off with once a week. You can text me.
Okay. And that's something that I can do very well. Now, what's happening in today's market, because I want to make sure you understand the market right now. 3 years ago, we had about a 6-month supply of inventory. And now we have less than a 1-month supply. So many homes are selling anywhere from 4 to 10 days once they go live on sale. And quite possibly multiple offers are coming in if the home is priced correctly. Now, is that something you'd like to make sure you have done? You want to make sure you're priced correctly so you can get multiple offers, so you can choose the best offer that's going to net you the most money? Is that something you would like?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And the reason I say the best offer, because sometimes financing plays a part as to what's going to create the best opportunity for the most amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
If you get an FHA loan and then an FHA appraisal comes in, then your house is locked into that appraisal, and we can't really, if it's an appraisal that we don't like, we can opt out of the deal and put the house back on the market, but we can't sell it to another FHA buyer. If it's a conventional loan, then all bets are off, because now we can negotiate and possibly even have the buyer pay over appraisal price. And you want somebody to help negotiate a particular item for you. Now, I'm not going to negotiate anything without your permission first. Is that okay?
Yes.
So I want to make sure you know that I'm not doing anything on my own without me telling you before I do it. And my job is to give you the best insight to make that work.
Perfect.
Okay. So that's what you get with the McDowell team, is somebody who's going to be in direct communication with you. Now, I know that you work during the day, you're not available during certain hours. So I have to let my buyers know that, hey, I'll get back to you after I know I get an opportunity to talk to my seller. And I'll let them know that I'll say, hey, there's a possibility he may accept that, but I have to get confirmation before I get back to you on that.
Okay.
So that's the type of conversation you want to have. And that you as a seller, you have to think, if you're an agent, you want to make sure that the seller has a confidence in the fact that you can help them get their house sold.
Mm-hmm.
Now, maybe in the beginning, because this is what I did in the beginning, I didn't have all the confidence when I first got started. So I did a lot of co-listing appointments with other agents in my office. I would find the opportunity, and then I would team up with another agent in my office. In the beginning, I'd never sold a waterfront house. So I teamed up with the person who had the most waterfront skill set. And I wanted to make sure that I could learn from him as part of the process. What I found out, it was no different than selling any other house. I just had to go through the experience. And once I got that experience, I then felt comfortable going forward of getting houses sold. And that's how I sold 31 houses my first year. So I would highly recommend anybody on this call that, if they don't feel 100% comfortable, find a partner in your office that can help you with those listings. If you actually work with your coach will actually do a lot of that work with you with actually no extra fee. So sometimes the coach isn't available. Sometimes as an office manager, I've helped many agents do a market analysis so they can know the true value of a home. So just another aspect to have success that way. Okay. So how was that? Was that a good way to do a value proposition? So now what you have to do is figure out what is your value proposition, and don't be afraid to use your office manager, other agents in your office, and use their successes to help you have success. All right. So hopefully that will help with so delivering value. So now that you have a unique value proposition, what is delivering on that statement? What does it mean? I mean, Keller Williams is a big believer in integrity. So the more integrity you have, the better you're going to be. So, one of our big pillars is integrity in all things. This is where I just recommend to no end, if they ask you a question and you don't know the answer, get back to them and say, look, at the present time, I don't have the answer for you. And if I could guess, but I don't want to guess. I'm going to talk to my office and talk to some of the people who have the best knowledge in regards to your question. May I get back to you tomorrow with that answer? So that's just a way to make that work. So, and I think integrity is really the key aspect of success as part of that. You know, distinguish yourself with the information you know. The more information you know, the more you're going to be able to distinguish yourself as part of that process. You know, you got to be able to say, you know, what's going to set yourself apart. Now, as a rookie agent, each office in Keller Williams gives out stats about how they're selling against the competition. I actually did some analysis a couple weeks back for the Annapolis office, and I said within a 5-mile radius of the Annapolis office, Keller Williams averaged 101% of sales price to list price, and our competitors averaged 98% of sales price to list price, meaning that Keller Williams agents were netting our sellers 3% more than the average agent. You think you want to work with a company that's going to net you 3% more, or do you want to work with a competitor that may get you 3% less? And on your house of $500,000, that's $15,000 you're giving away. Do you want to give away $15,000? So that's part of the process. And just know that's part of it, okay? So if you guys are on page 14, it talks about the 6 personal perspectives as part of the process. So think about that as you go with it. So obviously what you're looking to do, and this is going to help you for the rest of your career in real estate, is create a stellar experience, because at the end of each transaction, you're going to want to get a referral from them so that you can add to your referral database, and that maybe they've done a referral for you on LinkedIn. Maybe they've done a referral for you on Facebook, all the different aspects of how you can record and actually make that work for you. Okay. So let's do a recap and ahas. Anybody have any ahas they might want to share here? Anything you got out of this first half of today's session?
I think that I got a better understanding on how to manage and run your business to grow it. Such as
Okay.
the CMAs and talking to your potential clients.
That's good.
George, my aha moment would definitely be what you said about setting up the search on MLS to get weekly updates on the area. I really didn't think about that. And especially like if I'm going to an open house or if I'm doing a vending event, those numbers really do matter. And the conversation could be geared towards that. And then I like the create your value proposition. I think that was very, very helpful. Something to really think about that sets you apart from other real estate agents.
That's going to be key, and that'll be something that'll be an ever growing thing for you. As you continue to work on that, you're going to continue to improve upon that very nicely. So that's a document. It's what I call a living document that's going to really help you and your business tremendously. I know it helped me as part of that process as well.
Thank you so much. Those were great news.
Okay, very good. I don't think there's any more slides in this, and obviously building daily habits. You know, so one of the things that I have over 1,260 contacts in my database that I talk to 3 times a month, 36 times a year. That database for me generates close to $250,000 in commissionable revenue on a referral basis that I give those business to members on my team if they're available. Sometimes they're not available, and I have other agents in my office that I may share leads with because sometimes my team is too busy and they can't handle some of the leads I hand them. So that's when I give other agents in my office pieces of business that they may or may not have gotten as a result of working with the McDowell. Like I say, I run the office. About 18 months ago, I hired my replacement to run my team. I have what's called a level 7 team in Keller Williams, which means that the team runs with or without me, but I utilize my database to help feed the team business, which keeps them busy and keeps commission checks coming to me on a referral status where they're doing all the work and I get to work Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Every now and then I'll go out on a listing call, especially when it's a $1 million or $2 million listing. I may actually do more work on that because I may want to gate that. I may want to take that $50,000 commission for myself. Right?
Are the referrals a certain percent? I mean, how do you establish that? Does it?
Well, if you have a team, then you work out an arrangement prior to going on. So I tell my team, for me, what works for me, and this is what works for me. If I just give you the lead and you do all the work and I don't do any part of it, I only want 25%.
Okay.
If I go on the listing appointment and I get the listing contract signed and I help do some of the things as part of the process, I want 50%, but I want you to do all the paperwork in order to get there. So that's been part of the process. So you'll work that out yourself with people that you'll want to partner with, or maybe another agent, because every now and then you're going to want to take a vacation, or you're going to need to, devote time to other parts of life. And if you have somebody that you trust and feel comfortable with, and I tell agents in my office all the time, find somebody that you feel comfortable with that you can then hand that business to when you need help for that part of it.
Okay.
Have 10 conversations a day about real estate, and just say, hey, by the way, did you know that rental rates have gone up over 12% in the last 2 years? And you know what that means for a listing that was renting for $1,500 a month? Now that same house is renting for $1,700 a month. And you know what you can get for an extra $200 in a monthly payment? For every $100 you pay, you can get another $50,000 in value for a purchase of a house. So just know that these are some of the conversations. These are some of the numbers. Now, if you like, I actually have an Excel spreadsheet, which actually keeps track of interest rates from 3%, 4%, 5%, or 6%. It actually has a calculation that if somebody, you're working with a buyer and they're going to get a $250,000 loan. I don't know if I can share that. Let me see if I can share that with you real quick. Let's see if I can share that one. I assume everybody sees this right now.
Yeah. Principal interest of 3%. Wow, big difference.
So here's an example right now of a $250,000 loan. When the interest rates are at 3%, the monthly mortgage for principal and interest only was $1,054. That same house at 5.5% is a $365 difference. The rent payment for that same house 2 years ago was $1,800 a month, but with the increase in rental numbers, they're paying an extra $432 to rent that same house just 2 years ago, from a 24% increase over the last 2 years in rents in Anne Arundel County. So just an interesting way to take a look at how that works in real estate. Pretty wild, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so take a 2-minute break while I get the second session loaded up, because we gotta speed through the second one because it took a little long on this first one. And we'll go from there. Okay.
Which book is that?
What now?
Work out of. Like this one we just finished with Spark 6. Which one are we working on next?
I didn't hear the question altogether.
Oh, I said we were just in Spark 6. Which one are we working out of now?
It's going to be skills to spark a great career.
Okay.
No, I got the wrong one up. Okay.
See that one.
We're on powerful language.
Oh, let's just see.
George, I have a question.
What now?
I have a question. I just saw on that last slide that you had up, it said preview homes. Can you explain that to me a little bit?
Sure can. So previewing homes, you could actually have an office that actually say you could go check out open houses. So let's say on a Sunday you check the local area. In fact, on your app on your phone, you can actually go on your phone and actually find out what houses are in the local area that are available, so that you can actually go check them out. So what you want to do is say, hey, I'm just checking out the neighborhood because I'm working with some buyers in the local area, and they asked me to go check them out as part of the process.
Mhm.
So that's where I would go in that regard. And you could also talk to agents in your office, say who's doing an open house. A lot of times the admin in the front or the coach will know what open houses are happening that particular week. So that's something you want to do that.
Okay, so previewing homes would just be going to, not conducting open houses, but just prospecting houses in the area that are for sale.
Yep.
Okay, that's what the purpose. Okay, thank you.
Submitted my application.
Still there? Yeah, we're still there. Okay, so what I want to do now, I think I want to add some of the scripts that'll actually help this part of the process. So I'm gonna bring up a couple of scripts that I've done with some of my teams. And this is actually a script that came from a bold instructor called Rob Daniels. So I'm going to use Okima, because Okima and I have done some of these scripts before. And this is as you drive around, or if you have family and friends that have no homes that are being sold by owner, what would you guess of homes that are being sold by owner, how many of those homes are actually being sold and how many are actually going to be listed with an agent?
You mean
Would you believe that over
80?
Go ahead, get me an answer.
I said 80%,
No, it's not that high, but it's close.
60.
63% of for sale by owners in today's market will list with an agent within 2 to 4 weeks of actually going for sale. So in this script, and I'll be the agent that's either calling a for sale by owner or actually knocking on the door. This can be done both ways. So I'm looking for a volunteer to work with me.
Give it a shot.
So you need somebody to be a prospect.
You're gonna be the person selling your house yourself, and I'm an agent that's stopping by to help you with the prospect of getting your house sold.
I can do that. I'll do that. I'll role play with you.
Okay. And who am I talking with?
Amber Andrews.
Hey, Amber, how you doing?
Finding you.
So ring.
Hello.
Hey, this is George McDowell with Keller Williams. Amber, I see that you got your house for sale by yourself. If I had a buyer for your house, would you agree to a one-day listing agreement for me to show it?
That's a good question. Is the buyer ready to go or not?
You know, I don't know yet because I don't know enough about your house yet. Would today be good or tomorrow be better for me to stop by and preview your house in person?
Well, I was really wanting to sell my house by myself.
Oh, I want you to get it sold too. I might have a buyer to help you get it sold.
Okay, well, I mean, if you want to take a look, that's fine.
Well, great. Is tomorrow good or is Thursday better?
Tomorrow's good.
Okay, very good. So once I get to the house, you know, basically, and this is what Rob did. He would walk through the house and he would just say, "Ooh, ah, ooh, ah," and he would just keep working on that as part of the process. And what Rob knew was that if he went on 5 to 10 listing appointments every or FSBO appointments, he would list 1 in 10 of every one he went to. So if he went on 10 appointments a week of a for sale by owner, he would get 1 listing out of it. Myself, I used to sell on average between 8 and 12 for sale by owners every year. That was part of what I did. So your main job as with a for sale by owner, that's the way it's worked. Now, one of the things you're going to want to do when you get there, you're going to make this statement to the seller. And you're going to say, you know, because when you're on that first appointment, you're going to give them a magnet of your business card, and it's going to have your phone number. And it's just say, no, one day, Amber, you're going to be sitting at the dinner table, and you're going to say, I'm tired of selling this house. And you're going to see my card on the fridge, and you may call me, okay?
Okay, I may.
Okay. And by the way, when you sell this house, where are you going to move to?
Well, I was thinking about going to Annapolis, maybe by the water.
Do you have an agent to help you with that?
No, I've been just looking around.
Oh, that's great. By the way, do you know that the services of an agent are absolutely free to you to help you with buying a house?
Yeah, I know it's generally the seller who pays for that.
Yeah, that's not always true, but most times that is true.
Okay.
So, by the way, would it be okay if I sent you some listings that might meet what you're looking for? You say you're looking for a house on the water in Annapolis?
Yes. Yeah, that's fine. That would be perfect.
Okay, well, very good. Is it okay if I follow up with you on you getting your house sold, just so I can keep track of it? And maybe as I help you find your next house on that water, that's going to be really nice in the summer, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait.
All right, so now all of a sudden I've been away. I call back and I'm gonna say, well, how's it going? Have you had the good fortune to sell your home yet?
Well, I had a couple of people to come over to take a look, but unfortunately, I haven't had any contracts yet.
Okay. Are you ready to list with me yet?
Well, I'm still trying to see what the market's going to do, still see if I can do it on my own.
And you still have my card on the fridge, right?
Yes, I do.
All right, very good. I'll give you a call next week. Hopefully you get that house sold in the meantime. And good luck, okay?
Yes, thank you so much.
And then I keep following up. What I found, the secret of for sale by owners, is the following. I actually listed a $1.3 million house in Annapolis in the historic district. They had their house on the market for over 6 weeks. And I followed up with that agent, with that seller for 3 months on a weekly basis, asking these same type of questions. I took that listing, since they were literally only on one website, I was able to put that house on 600 websites through Keller Williams. I sold a house in 30 days at the exact same price and made a nice $42,000 commission. Your job is to be the #1 agent in their head when they go to list that house. So 63% are going to do it. Yeah, and if you ever knock on the door, make sure you have an envelope with your business card, your value proposition as part of that mix to make that work. Does anybody like that script?
Love it.
I'll share that.
Quite a
I'll
bit.
send that to the instructor, Melissa, and I'll ask her to share that with everybody. Okay.
That would be great. Thank you.
Do you
Okay.
actually have it labeled as your value proposition?
Well,
When
you're
present
going
it
to do a one-page document as to why people will want to do business with you,
okay.
or with you and Keller Williams. If you're a rookie agent, you say, hey, I'm Charles Edwards. I'm a rookie agent with Keller Williams. I'm working with some of the best talent I've ever seen in this real estate world, working with this office. I have the fortune of working with a team leader who's sold over $300 million in homes in his career. And he's actually helping me on a case-by-case basis to help me get listings sold. And you want to work with somebody who's had a lot of success, right?
Right.
And then you also want to work with an agent who's hungry, who's going to work their buns off to help you get your house sold. So use your weaknesses to be your strength.
Okay.
Don't make it a fear item. Make it something that you're going to be proud of as part of that process. And he used this script. He used to list between 6 and 8 for sale by owners every month. And he had an office in Austin, Texas, where there were over 1,000 Keller Williams agents within a 100-mile radius. And he dominated the for sale by owner market because this was the script he used in order to make that work. Pretty impressive, huh? Now, what other scripts could be helpful to you? Where else do you think you're going to be getting leads from?
Social media.
Huh?
Social media.
Yeah, social media. Okay, that's a good one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up another script. And it's called calling your database out of contacts in your phone. Okay. So I need another participant in this. All right, so here's the script I'm going to use. So who would like to be my person who's in my phone as a contact? Give me a new person this time.
I'll try it.
All right, who am I talking with?
Cynthia.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hi.
So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, I'm looking for Cynthia. Is this her?
Yes, it is.
Hey, Cynthia, this is George McDowell. I'm with Keller Williams in Annapolis. And the reason for my call today was I was updating my phone records and I saw that I had you as a contact in my phone. And I normally don't add people unless they're really, really important. And I was just calling to see if you were to buy a home or sell a home here in Annapolis. I was hoping you might call me. Do you have an agent you currently work with here in Annapolis?
No, I don't.
You don't? Well, I'm so glad I called. I'd love to be your real estate resource here in Annapolis. My free services include information on home values and anything that has anything to do with real estate information. So when you or someone you know is in need of a real estate professional, feel free to contact me anytime. Would that be okay?
Sure.
I send quarterly newsletters with information about home values here in Annapolis. I help with tax assessments if some people feel they're being taxed unfairly, and as well as other pertinent real estate information. I'd love to include you in that mailing. What's your best mailing address?
502 Hammershire Road, Owings Mills.
Outstanding. I'll text you my contact information so you can include me in your contacts. And by the way, do you have any real estate questions that I could answer for you right now?
I'd just like to know how the market is going since the interest rates are going up.
You know, that's a great question. And that's extremely hard to tell over the phone without me doing more homework. What would be a good time so I could meet with you so that I could give you more information and talk to you about specific areas that maybe you're interested. Are you looking in buying or are you looking in selling?
I'm gonna downgrade, so I'll probably be selling.
So it looks like you're gonna be selling your house so you can buy a smaller house in the local area, or you're gonna be moving out of the area?
Smaller house in the area.
Okay. Well, I've got some time available today at 4 or tomorrow at 6. Which of those is better?
Tomorrow at 6.
Okay. Well, very good. So that's how I'll call. And here's what I can promise you. For every 20 calls you make on your phone with this type of script, that you actually talk to somebody, you're going to get an opportunity for business. Now, it may be 40 calls because maybe you're not doing the script very well yet. But this is a script that you could practice with other people. And here's the key thing. You see, hey, I'm looking for, whoever I'm looking for, and then pause. And then if you were looking to buy a home and you saw where I paused, or sell a home, because what I want them to focus on, when you pause and then you do sell or buy, and then you downswing, sell a home, that makes them think, do I want to sell? Do I want to buy? And that's what's called the language of real estate as part of the process. So that's just a great aspect of real estate there.
No, this was really helpful because I asked the first night of Ignite, I think it was Lana. I asked her, I have so many contacts on my phone and I don't remember all of these people. And if I just start calling them, what am I going to say? So this is a great script.
And here's the thing. Let's say, hey, yeah, I do have an agent. And here you just say, well, hey, that's great. Good for you. By the way, if you ever needed a second opinion with no obligation whatsoever, I'd be able to offer it, obviously with no obligation. And you're still texting them your information. And then you're still asking them a question. Do you have any questions about real estate right now? So I'll also share this with Melissa as well, okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
This is a script that I put together. So it's just I'm able to share stuff because I'm not copying this off of anybody. Now I do use the pauses and the different aspects of it to help that process.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you'll want to do is you'll want to work on that with yourself. But I always tell folks, learn the script first. And then once you feel comfortable with what's in the script, then you can add your own parts of the conversation to help that through the process.
Mhm.
So when I have people, and in fact, if anybody's interested, 8:30 Monday through Friday, myself and a gentleman named Michael Moore out of Ocean City, Maryland, we've been practicing scripts for now close to 10 years. I met him at a bold class, and we were part of the same team when I initially got started. And him and I we connected, and I've referred probably about a dozen pieces of business to him down in Ocean City, and he's referred a couple pieces of business to me up here in Annapolis. So by making contacts and talking to people, this is how you grow your business. All right, so let's go over ahas right now. Anybody would like to share any big ahas they got out of today's session?
I got the 1-page document that I would give to prospective customers or clients.
Your value proposition?
Yes. So
remember, that's always a growing document, because then all of a sudden after year one, you say, hey, I was the rookie agent in my office.
Okay.
Or I was in the top 10% in my office.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever it is, don't lie, but whatever is true, say I was in the top 20% of all the new agents in my office.
Okay.
Now, remember, most new agents, over half are not going to sell a thing in the 2022 time period. And there's the people who don't take the time to get training. They're the people that don't take time to get practice with their real estate profession. And they're the ones that don't do their value proposition. So if you're going to be a professional real estate agent, you've got to practice this, and you've got to become a real professional in order for folks to want to work with you. And that's what I know about real estate. Okay.
I also like the FISBOs, the checking on them, nurturing them, maybe creating a smart plan for them weekly. I got a lot out of that. And I also like the idea of walking through the house, even if it's not a FISBO, but if you're doing a listing and saying, ooh, I really like that aspect of it. Yeah. Then probably coming back and say, well, you need to fix this. No, I'm joking, but yeah, I really like that idea.
Yeah, and then when they actually have you come over for the listing, you say, would it be okay if you and I walk through this house and I look at this house through the eyes of a buyer? And then when you go through his eyes of a buyer, you open up the closets. Now, why would I want to open up closets if I'm going to be a listing agent on a house?
Because that's what buyers pay attention to.
Because I open up a closet and it's stuffed full because now they're trying to make the house look good, but the closets are completely full. When a buyer walks through the house and they see a closet that's full to no end, they're going to say, this house isn't big enough. I can't buy this house.
Right.
So if they have a garage or if they have a storage facility, they're going to want to make sure they go do that as part of the process. So you don't do that on a FISBO when you're all you're going to do is ooh and ah. You're not going to look in the closets, because if the closets are full while they're trying to sell the house, they're not going to sell it. You don't want to give them advice to help them sell. You want to be that listing agent, and then you're going to come back and say, hey, this is what I need you to do in order to get this house sold.
So how do you handle a situation where the sellers are stuck between a rock and a hard place? So, for example, I actually made some cold calls on some expired listings locally last night.
Good job.
And one of them I noticed because I looked at their previous listing, and the pictures were horrible, but you could obviously tell that it was a rental. It wasn't terribly cared for, and it was tons. It was just like you said, like chairs piled with clothes and trash everywhere. And, and this is in their real estate pictures, and they wonder why their listing expired, right? So I tried to have that conversation that,
Did you get an appointment?
what can we do, to make this happen? But
You
here's the
were making
reasons why
calls.
this probably didn't work for you, right?
Now, Debbie, you were making calls. Did you get the appointment and did you get to the house?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So you're at the house and you say, do you mind if I be brutally honest with you?
Yes.
And what does the client gonna say? No, lie to me.
Don't ever lie to me.
Well, and that's right. You say, I hope you don't mind. I want to be brutally honest with you because I can sell this house. But here's what I need. I need for the pictures to be outstanding. In order for the pictures to be outstanding, I need all the clutter fixed. I can help you with a cleaning service that can come in and get that done.
That's exactly what I offered. Yeah, that's what I did, but they did not warm up to any of that.
And if indeed that doesn't the case, do you really need to sell this house? Because if you really need to sell the house and you want to net the most amount of money, I can sell this house at 10% less than what it's really worth. Do you want to get 10% less on your house?
Right. Okay, well, I feel better that I did most of the things. And it's not over yet. I'm still having conversations with them.
And stay brutally honest with them. Because Lily, that's the only way they're going to get it sold.
Right. Well, that's how I felt, but I didn't know, like, I didn't want in my first interaction with them to be like, well, that's because it looked like a dump,
Hey, a bit.
in the pictures. I mean, you could have at least pushed it out of the way during the picture.
Clients who are messing. That's just a fact. I mean, I've taken some listings that I'm going, George, what the hell are you doing? And does it work? No, it doesn't. It only works if indeed they agree to have you help.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And you just have to be just really brutally honest. Any other good questions that I can answer for folks? Because you're talking to a guy who sold a lot of houses.
There's a question in the chat box.
How much do real estate photographers get paid? I work with a service called House Lens, and for House Lens, it based on the price of the house, under $500,000, I can get 30 quality videos. 30 quality pictures that are actually 15 millimeter and not 35 millimeter, and they also will give me a short video that I can also do for $225. Now the price may have gone up in the last year, but that's a very good price. And I no longer take my own photos on listings. I used to do that when I was cheap. But now that what I found when I used a professional, the photos came out so much better, just tremendously better. Now, if I take $1 million listing, I'm also maybe going to get some videos above, where I have where they'll take some videos from, 500 feet up in the air, so I can get a whole layout of the listing. So that's just another aspect of success there. So just know that's you can pay somewhere between 125 for just 30 photos. They may, and some of them do really well. What you want to do is talk to other listing agents in your office and get their opinion. You want to work with somebody who feels really good about their photography.
But George, some of the pictures I see, the houses look so much bigger. And then when the customers come through, the yard is half the size of the pictures. And so when you were talking about the different millimeters, how do you get realistic pictures instead of something that looks twice as big as it is?
Well, and typically they're not going to be twice as big, but what they're going to do is from a 15 millimeter, if you take it from the right angle in a room, it's going to make the room look like it's really big. And Lily, if you're standing there and from that exact position, that picture should be exactly what that room looks like, even though it's a 15 millimeter. So Lily, you can't make a picture be false. So that's good news from that standpoint.
Okay. It's mainly outside, it's like, yep. I guess it kind of goes out and comes in, but it looks much longer than it is.
Sometimes they'll take a camera and do one of these, something like that. And that to me, I've never liked those photos.
Right.
So that could be where that messes up.
Okay.
All right. So five more minutes of questions and then we're done for the night. Okay. We're going to give you guys 10 minutes off tonight. Any other good questions that we have out there?
Well, I know like locally, some people actually even like if the house is empty, they stage it. Are you in favor of that or?
I have staged houses in the past. I don't pay for staging. I let my sellers make that call. And what I do is I will, if I have a $400,000 house or higher, I will pay for the initial consultation up to 2 hours. And I work out an arrangement with my stager that says, hey, I'm going to pay you $50 an hour or $75 an hour for you to give 2 hours of consultation. And what I found is that when I do that, then all of a sudden my stager thinks they're the reason selling a house. And then all of a sudden they'll up their price. And I'll say, by the way, if you continue to up your price, I can't use you anymore. I'll go find the next stager.
Right.
And I say, hey, your job is if indeed you're going to stage that house after I leave, I'm okay with that. And I've had some stagers that have made $1,000 a month on staging a house that's vacant. And I'm okay with that because it makes the house look better when somebody walks through. I mean, I sold a $800,000 listing in Severna Park that was empty, that we had rented it out from the seller. And then we got it sold. Once it's staged, all of a sudden it sold rather quickly, which was nice.
What's the top advice you would give a new real estate agent to focus on? Because there's so many things that get thrown at you. What would
Here's what I know about new agents. If you go to enough for sale by owners, you're going to get 1 or 2 listings a month. If you go to 10 to 12 listings a month of for sale by owners, you're going to get 1 to 2 listings just by making an appointment to go see the house.
Okay.
So that's one thing. You're going to want to post success stories on Facebook. Do some TikTok videos or on some areas of like a neighborhood. Say, by the way, this neighborhood of Elizabeth Landing, look at the great waterfront access you have from buying a house in this neighborhood, a community pier, a community beach. So start making some recordings and then post some videos of what you know about an area.
Okay.
Say, hey, my name is Amber Andrews, and I'm now a specialist in this particular area. If you have any questions about the value of your house, give me a call. My phone number is 1-2-3-4-5-6-7-8-9-10.
Right.
And just start that process. Let the world know that you sell real estate. Wear a badge. Make it work. Okay.
Got it.
And Lily, that's what I did. I did that. I sat in on open houses. When I didn't have any listings, I asked, hey, you need me to do an open house for you. I had an agent in my office that wanted to do an open house. They borrowed 20 open house signs in order to do that open house. You know how many people they had come through the house?
How many?
30.
Wow.
They found 15 buyers to work with, Lily, just by doing that one open house.
Mm.
You can buy open house signs for $5, sometimes as much as 10. That's probably a great investment. If you spend $100 to buy 10 open house signs that have your name and your phone number on it, great investment. Don't buy small ones, buy big ones.
Big. Okay. I'm literally writing this down as you say.
That's why I'm here. I'm here to answer your questions. You're talking to a very, very high producing agent who now happens to be a team leader because my KPA said that I would be really good at hiring agents and helping them grow their business. I actually get paid now to do the things I love. I love helping agents grow their business.
That's great.
I was a softball coach for 30 years. I've coached at the college level, at the high school level, and at the very high select level. My oldest daughter played ball for good 20 years.
Wow.
Mm.
It only upsets me that I missed one end of year tournament. The one end of year tournament I missed, she was the MVP for the whole daggone tournament.
Wow.
So, All right, everybody. Well, I thank you for being on the call today. I'm going to make sure I send those things. I'll put my email in here so you'll have that.
Can I ask one question to maybe open up to everybody? Does
Again.
anybody use that Covey export app to export your contacts from your phone to
I downloaded the app, but I don't know what else to do after that.
exactly
Did, and I was having issues. I downloaded the app and I exported everything. It came on a Word document, but it wasn't lined up correctly. And that's the part I got stuck on, is lining the fields up correctly.
I can't even get that far. It says download, and then it's just, I can't see anything. So,
are you using Apple?
yeah, well, it's on my phone, and then I have a Chrome.
Okay.
So
Every office has maybe a third-party service. I think we use, and I can't remember all the different names. There are ways to make that work, and if you can just ask the office coach, and they'll walk you through the process, because it's very doable. Also, our concierge service, some people actually in the office will work on doing that for you. They'll get paid a way to do it. Find a way to make it work. So, all right. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
thank you.
Thank
I
you.
applaud you for being on the call on a Thursday night. After 3 nights of this, it's got to be painstaking, but I know we gave some good stuff tonight, and we'll go from there.
It's good.
Okay. All right. Take it easy.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody